company. We're back after a summer break, which was very busy on my end, professionally and personally. But so excited to be back and have the show every month. And in great company, as you might know if you have been with us before, brings you the best minds in business to help you with resources, sharing their experience, and just support other entrepreneurs who are trying to thrive and grow. And since this month is Hispanic Heritage Month, we have an amazing lineup. My name is Ramona Cedeño. I am Hispanic, as you probably know, Dominican. And today I have three panelists who are amazing entrepreneurs and human beings. And I'm so excited to talk to them about their journeys as entrepreneurs, to pick their brains on things that might be helpful to other business owners, and just to enjoy their company because they are just great people to be around. And we have Cenia Paredes, who is the founder of Cenia New York, a beautiful line of women clothing that is now being distributed globally. We have Danay Escanaverino, who is the founder of Luna Soul Media. And what she does is so close to my heart because I had this experience when I was working for People en Español. She's connecting Hispanic business owners and Hispanic consumers to companies that want to sell to them. So companies that are trying to reach the Hispanic market should be talking to Danay. And Marcelo Rodriguez. I have been friends with Marcelo for a while. He is the president of inQmatic. And inQmatic is helping Spanish speaking business owners get capital, have access to capital, network connections, and also resources. They have a great journey to share with you, and I'm so glad to have them with us today. Welcome, Zenia, Danai, and Marcelo.
Thank
And
you,
I
Ramona.
know you're very welcome. I know that as business owners, we always are curious to hear about others' business owners' experiences. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about yourself and your experience as a business owner to our audience. So I'll start with Senia.
Yes. Well, thank you, Ramona, for having me. Such a pleasure.
You're welcome.
So, well, I started my business 12 years ago. I was working full time and started to create my collection on the side. And when I launched, little by little, I started to grow distribution. By the time I knew, I was already in 25 doors, boutiques. And so I quit my full time job and dedicated full time to growing my business, to my company. And thank God, here we are. Like you said, we are now sold globally, 250 stores in the United States, and very, very proud to where we have come so far.
Thank you, Senia. And I have seen you many times at different events. I heard your story. I know how your mom helped shape your career, and it's always impressive. And those that have the opportunity to know you, I think can learn a lot about you from you.
Thank
Danai, can
you.
you talk a little bit about you?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me, Ramona. And it's great to be in such great company with Marcelo and Senia. My name is Danay Escanaverino. I am a digital marketer. I have been in the business for 25 plus years, so forever. I consider myself a digital dinosaur. And I work with advertisers to connect them to the Latino community. And so I'm very passionate about the Latino community because I know just how powerful we are as a consumer segment, as a business segment. I mean, we'll talk numbers later probably, but because I'm privy to that data and I have been for so many years, I know how important we are as a consumer segment. I know how powerful we are. And so I'm really passionate about making sure that we connect with each other, support each other, and know just how great we are.
We love shopping. We love eating. We love we love spending a little too much sometimes. That's a different conversation. But yes, you're totally right. We are a great community to try to target for as consumers and as clients. Marcelo.
Thank you, Ramona. And it's a pleasure, Danay, Cenia, to be here. I'm really excited to start sharing, learning from you. Um, inQmatic is, we act as a trusted advisor, helping Spanish-speaking business owners start, transition, and grow into the U.S. economy with access to the right tools, education, financing, and networking. And inQmatic is the company I wish I had as an advisor when I started in the US. When I came from Ecuador, I did not have any type of guidance. And as a Spanish speaker, it was really difficult to adjust, to understand, and to learn the specifics of business and financing. And I think what we try to do in inQmatic is to put everything that we've learned during all these years as foreign-born Spanish-speaking business owners into business, into getting access to capital, into networking events, into connections. So I'm very happy to share and to learn from you.
Thank you, Marcelo. And I love the fact that when you started with inQmatic, you brought this component of digital marketing, but also in-person connections. The events that you guys organize are great, and you are so personable and so willing to help the clients that I think it's a great thing for Hispanics to, a great resource for Hispanics to have.
Thank you.
Cenia, you are in an industry that is so competitive, so dependent on so many things. You're not just a consultant who depend on yourself, but you need to deal with supply chain, you need to deal with digital marketing and some resources, staff, vendors, and but it's very competitive. And I know I've heard your stories. I know that it was challenging. What kept you going at the beginning? What keeps you going today, not to give up?
Well, I am very fortunate that my mom instilled in me these values, this passion for first for education, and she she told us from the time we were very little that there was no limit to what we can achieve, that we were going to be so successful, that we were allowed to dream big and accomplish anything we wanted to in life. So until today, whenever I have an idea, I put it into practice. I go for it. I mean, fear is natural. I'm not going to tell you I don't feel fear, but I just have this fire inside of me that I just have to do it, to go for it. I take risk, and that's what keeps me going. I'm very, very passionate about what I do,
As a creative
believing in
person,
myself.
yes, that's amazing. And I think that as Latinos, if we're lucky enough to have parents to that support us in the way that you have been supported, it always makes such a big difference. And I always hear
Absolutely.
the stories. You you're a creative person, and you mentioned that when you get an idea, you implement it. I'm imagining that you get tons of ideas every day. How do you decide what to go with? Like a design, like you imagine. I imagine like 1,000 numbers a day, right? So you probably have like 20 ideas for designs. How do you pick like which one to go with?
Well, I am a creative person, and I had to put my entrepreneurial hat when it came to running a business. But my soul, at core, I'm a creative person, and I have millions of ideas. But at the end of the day, everything has to be in sync with the sustainability of the business. So I work with the buyers when I go to market. I talk to them one by one, and they guide me as to what is selling, what is probably not doing as well. So you design according to the market needs. At the end of the day, the consumer has their final word, and it is a business. When you're working with that buyer, I may have an emotional attachment to one of my designs, and that's the one that I love and I want. But if the buyer wants another one that is selling better, I take my designer title away, and that's the one that I'm going to give you. So there has to be a combination of the business and the creative, because at the end of the day, fashion is utilitarian. It's not a painting that you're going to hang in a wall. Somebody's going to have to wear this. And if that design doesn't do well on the market, the livelihood of your company is in peril. So it has to be a combination when you design.
That's a great point. Totally agree with that. And I'm glad to hear that you can be a business owner in addition to be creative, because that sometimes those two
Mm-hmm.
conflict sometimes. Um, Danay, when I was reading your bio, I love the part about the fact that you love numbers. I was like, oh, someone who is going to be on my show and is going to be talking data, in addition to Marcelo, of course. But Danay, what does the data tell you or tell us about Hispanics as as consumers? And you touched on this before, but if we use the data to kind of encourage companies to target Hispanics as a market, what would we see?
My favorite data point is that Hispanics in the United States alone, Latinos, Latinx, Latine, however you want to categorize it, um, we represent 2.8 trillion in GDP. That would make us the fifth largest economy on the planet. After I'm talking about bigger than the UK, bigger than France, bigger than Italy, bigger than Canada's entire economies. So when you're talking about opportunity, that number just pretty much like that's a mic drop of a number. 2.8 trillion, almost 3 trillion in GDP. That's what we represent. Um, and that's not even just the GDP side of things, right? We are 19%, almost 20% of the population. And not only are we the largest minority, but we are leading in population growth. So we are responsible for more than half of the US population growth in the last about 10 years, and more than 65% of the population growth from 2019 to 2020. And when you're talking about youths, right, we're talking about like generations. When we go to the youth side of things, under 18, Gen Z, that's 25% of the population. We represent 25% of the youth population. So just with those data points alone, we're not talking about an opportunity, to target 1 million consumers. We're talking about well over 60 million consumers. We're talking about 25% of the youth population. I mean, the opportunity just speaks for itself. So, but my favorite is that 2.8 trillion because it's a heck of a number. So yeah, I mean, those numbers pretty much sell themselves.
Thank you. And it's a huge number. And I think just for the benefit of the audience, GDP is gross domestic product. So it is an indicator of the consumption levels of in a country. But you mentioned that was for the US only or globally, the 2.8.
That is just US Hispanics. We're not talking about Latin America. We're not talking about Spain, just US based Hispanics.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow, I want to open another business just for Hispanics, right? Thank you, Danai. I think that is very interesting information, very good information. I used to work for, like as I mentioned before, for People in Espanol, which is a Spanish only magazine published by Time Inc. years ago. And there was a lot of conversations about this years ago. That was probably 15 years ago. And it was already, it was at the time, there was an emphasis on marketing to the Hispanic market because it was a market that was going to be critical key to a lot of the companies that were trying to grow. So it hasn't changed. It has been proven that the trend worked, and let's just continue to listening to the data and to the experts that know how the market is moving, and not neglect this sector as entrepreneurs, as consumers, as partners, vendors, any employees. Let's not forget them, the staff also. Marcelo, inQmatic serves exclusively Spanish-speaking businesses. I believe I have known you for a few years, but if anything is changing, I'll let you know. You can talk about that. Why was such a narrowed niche so critical to the success of inQmatic?
Well, it's not exclusively, but yeah, 99.9% of our our clients speak Spanish, and we everything we do for the clients is in Spanish. We get a lot of requests to do it in English, but as uh, as the nine knows, it's the problem with translations. It's that they don't work. They just don't work. It's not the same to create things for in Spanish for Spanish speaking business owners. And usually, what companies do in the United States is to create everything in English for the for the English speaking market, and then translate it into Spanish without taking into consideration culture, into consideration how many years people live here, because especially in financial industry, we assume that foreign-born business owners, they already understand the system, and we don't understand the system. We come from a complete different financial, healthcare, educational system. So when we arrive here, we are very, very behind in just knowing the system. So when you get to the point that you get offers, you just don't understand. You don't understand healthcare. You don't understand insurance. You don't understand financial because you didn't grow here. So that's one of the biggest things that what when we saw, as I said at the beginning, inQmatic is the company I wish I had when I had access to when I started, because when I started there was no information about business information. There was no information about marketing, let alone information about financing, what is banking, what is taxes, what is credit. I didn't understand at the beginning. That's why a lot of the companies that we started at the beginning for necessity, because after I overstayed my visa, I didn't I didn't start it because I was entrepreneur from the beginning. It's because by working with the company, they were offering me under the table payment, and then somebody say, hey, why don't you start a company? And I said, but they told me that is impossible because I'm documented. And I received the biggest lesson there, but you can start a business even though you're undocumented. And that's how I started, but just without any information. And then you didn't know about how important finance is in the business. And as a Spanish speaking business owner from from another country, we don't pay attention to marketing and financing. We put a lot of focus on the product, but we think that it will sell for itself. We don't think on the importance of branding, marketing, and financing. We only think on financing when we need money, not from the beginning. We don't think marketing, branding from the beginning. So that's how everything started developing. And also it's easier for me to speak Spanish, so I can relate more with people. I can tell them, "Don't do that. I did it. That doesn't work." I can relate with my fellow Ecuadorians, my fellow Dominicans that they are starting business here in New York, and it's easier for us to just connect. And it's not very narrow, because if you think about it, from all the Hispanics in the United States, almost 70% speak Spanish, and the U.S. is the second largest, is the second country where Spanish is spoken after Mexico. So there's more Spanish-speaking people in the U.S. than in Spain. So it's not gonna. It's a big market. I could say it's a huge market that still needs a lot more, a lot more vendors in financing, in marketing, in every other thing.
Yes, and we come from so many different countries, right? With different,
Mhm.
even though we might think we are all the same in terms of culture, we're not. We have the
Mhm.
way you deal with the Dominicans would be different from the way you deal with Colombians, and it's important that
That's
that
why translations doesn't work. Period. And then I knows more than anything that like that. So
I know, I know. Danay, do you want to comment on anything that Marcelo said and how that kind of relates to the work that you do with your clients?
Yes. I would love to jump in there. Marcelo couldn't be more right. Also, it's not only just the Spanish speaking, right? So when you talk about levels of acculturation, how long has somebody been in this country?
Mm.
Are they first generation? Are they second generation? Have they been here 4 generations? Those people, they probably don't want to be spoken to in Spanish. They might like Spanglish, and that might stick out for them, or they just are completely acculturated. They like to speak English. They don't speak much Spanish. It's funny because we have and Ramona, you've been to some of our spaces on the Clubhouse platform, right? And we have this conversation all the time where a lot of people who are second generation even talk about, well, I don't speak Spanish. Does that not make me Latino? I feel Latino. And so we're so diverse. Just the countries alone, the diversity is tremendous. But then when you figure in the level of acculturation and, what generation of immigrant or not even immigrant, some people are from Arizona or Mexico and they never, the border passed them, right? They didn't cross the border. So yeah, I mean, the level of diversity is tremendous, and it really does differ tremendously. So yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
totally. Senia, does the Spanish speaking aspect or Hispanic versus non-Hispanic, does it impact your business in some way, or does beauty speak the same language for everyone, every woman that you advertise to?
Well, when it comes to the stores that buy my product that I sell, the products to, I sell to a lot of stores in the south um, of the United States. So it's more of a English speaking atmosphere when I'm working with the buyers. But I also sell direct to consumer via my website, and that's when I have more interaction with a large range of different levels of English speaking. And I also, like you said in the beginning, I'm involved with the community. I go to events here in the New York metro area. A lot of the events are Spanish only, and that's when I get to interact more with that Hispanic customer. But I got to tell you, there's a big difference in what the ambi Latina, which is the Hispanic woman that is more acculturated in what she wants versus what a recently arrived Hispanic woman would want. I have found that.
Interesting. Wow, I don't remember when I came here 20 years ago, but I already forgot. I probably wasn't even noticing like the styles and around me when I first, maybe for the first 10 years, I didn't notice. But that's a good point. Senia, do you find that there are things in your business as a business owner that you would, we all have things that we don't want to do, right? That we hate doing. But is there anything that you really wish you had outsourced or delegated early on as you started your business?
Oh yes, absolutely. I'm a creative person. I'm a designer, and I would love to just, design, create products, and that's it. But like I said in the beginning, I have to deal with the financials, with the technical part of fashion design, which is creating tech packages, dealing with the factory, logistics. Tell me about logistics. When I have to actually work on that too, making sure the products gets to the United States, costumes and all of that stuff. So yes, if I could outsource those aspects, I definitely would have done it from the beginning, and that would have given me more time to concentrate in what my forte is, which is designing and developing products.
Yes, no, I know. I picked on you when I thought of that question because I work with creatives and they're like, I don't want to deal with the numbers. I don't know.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it. It actually causes me stress. It stresses me out.
You can always call me, okay? And I'll help you. Like, see it as just nothing. As so easy. Don't worry. It's just numbers. Then when I worked at People en Español, I heard someone say this, and it stayed with me forever. The head of marketing was doing a presentation, and he said, if you want to get to someone's heart and emotions, not through the stomach, okay? Don't, it's not that. Speak to them in their mother's language. And that was so I thought that was so touching. And I always tell my kids this, and it's interesting. One of my sons who doesn't speak in Spanish to anyone else, he understands me 100%. He said, I just understand mom. I don't know why. But is that true? And what do you recommend companies, your clients, do if that is the case? What can they do to kind of bring that component into their marketing?
Absolutely. Yes, you definitely want to speak to them in their mother language. So back to what I was talking about with, the level of acculturation. There's so many different levels of acculturation, so many different ways to communicate with people. What we've been finding in the last few years is working with influencers really does have an impact on the companies that are trying to connect with them for multiple reasons. Number one, influencers are speaking the language that their audience listens to, because that's why their audience follows them. That's why their audience engages with them, right? They speak to them exactly how they want to be spoken to. The other thing with influencers is it's an easier way for companies to start making genuine connections, because in the last, we'll say, 5 years, the consumer has gotten a lot smarter, a lot wiser. Just because you're going to speak to me in Spanish doesn't mean that I connect with your brand. And so when they start seeing content by creatives around the brand, integrating the brand, but also speaking in the voice that the consumer listens, that the consumer wants to hear, they start building that connection. And there are several brands that are doing that very well. But definitely it's about connecting to audiences through influencers, because your audience is already there. They're already connected with them. So now you have to become part of that conversation through a campaign with them. Let the influencer drive the conversation. You're just kind of supporting it as the brand. And you're also learning about the people that you're trying to connect with. So yeah, we have been really, really working with influencer campaigns a lot more in the last, I would say, 2 or 3 years. And the level of engagement goes up. I'm a numbers gal, right? So the numbers go up, the purchases go up, the leads go up, everything goes up when you work with influencers. And specifically, I'm not talking about like people that have 1 million followers. I'm talking about the nano influencer. The nano influencer is somebody that has probably less than 1,000 followers, right? When you want to buy something, are you going to take your mom's advice? Are you going to take your best friend's advice? Are you going to take, the advice of another mom from your kid's baseball team over some celebrity who you probably don't really connect with? And so the nano influencer has that more of a direct connection, and that's what people really, really react to, and that gets you a lot more sales and engagement than working with like the big celebrity type influencers. So influencer marketing with nano influencers to connect in the language of your audience.
Those are great points. Cenia, do you, unrelated to the language, do you use influencer marketing in your business, and thus do you find that it's effective?
Oh yes, I do, and I'm here listening to Danay, and also writing these ideas, suggestions that she has, because it's something that we are working on. Social media is not my forte. It's not. It doesn't come natural to me. So um, I do have a team that helps me with social media, and these are the things that they bring to the attention all the time. Working with influencers, and we do, and I agree with Danay in her assertion.
Yes, totally. And when I hear, I could be anywhere where it's only English speaking, and I hear someone just say word in Spanish, and I just uh, going back to the next point, I just look over. And the same thing if a waiter or waitress comes to talk to me and they speak Spanish, it's like it makes such a big difference. But um, it's interesting. So to touch on the Spanish, on the language portion, I think it's key to speak to those we want to reach in their language or the language of their moms. And then the influencer marketing, I think, is such a great idea and it's so impactful. Based on what I hear, I haven't used it for accounting. I don't know if it would be work there, but like, oh, do your taxes, and it's
Okay.
so that would be interesting. I should try that. Marcelo, I can only guess that this reaching the Hispanic community in their language has been so has impacted the success of inQmatic significantly. And I know that you have events in Spanish and all the content is in Spanish. There is a huge digital marketing component. I'm not sure if you do influencer marketing, but I know that a lot of
Yeah.
the marketing is in Spanish, it's digital. How, given the reliance on digital marketing and product taxation, how do you stay really connected to your client?
With the events, we use digital to outreach to get our message, but in order to connect, we need events because some of the things in particularly in this specific industry, financial industry, business, one of the biggest factors is trust. When we come from another countries, we don't trust anyone. We don't trust governments. We don't trust any. We're not gonna get political right now. Just that's the way we come, and we can have a big conversation about policies and what's good, bad, or anything. But the fact is that people are running. A lot of people are running their countries, and we don't trust a lot of institutions. So when we come here, we don't trust people, we don't trust things, and it's a big factor for companies to get the trust. So a great, as Danai was saying, the influencer marketing is so important because you get the trust of the people you want to reach out to. The way that we work is we do a lot of digital outreach, but then we also try to bring them to the specific events, and we have the Crecer Latino series where we do like a very specific industry topics, and then we bring to those events we bring the influencers. When we do the business Crecer Latino Ecuador, we bring Ecuadorian business owners that have already worked here and they grow their companies because people relate to those are the influencers that people listen to because I can tell them, hey, uh, don't fear about having a loan and get financing, and they don't listen. But then when they see a successful business owner who tell them the way I grew was because I forgot about my Ecuadorian mindset uh, of not making any loan in the financial institutions, and I had to have a loan with the bank, and you need to do it. Then people listen. So influencer is so important because we can tell them, okay, our work is to put them together, and then the influencers are the one who can actually connect with the people. So for us, it's so important to have these personal connections, networking events where people can connect. And this is a very long game. And just last week, I I had a business owner, a lady from Mexico, because I put a picture of the first event I did in Spanish in 2004 with the SBA, and I was very like 20 years ago, right? And I was just put that picture, and the lady called me and said I was there, and I've been following you. I didn't know. and then she just
Wow.
she connected again. And then I had another person from 206 when we did the first e-commerce in Spanish with the consulate. And now he's another client that he's not doing e-commerce anymore, but he's doing real estate development. And the way that we build the trust was through events, through they see us always creating content. Before we was not inQmatic, but we've always been doing education in Spanish for business, and I think that is the main thing in the Hispanic market, the trust factor for any industry that you're gonna work with.
Totally. And it doesn't, as much as I love not having to commute somewhere and being able to do that meeting on Zoom, the most impactful people are those that you met at some point in person, right? And we slowly,
Absolutely.
maybe that will change, but for now, I need to give someone a hug. I need to see them in person, and it's there. That's not going to be replaced by anything, at least not for me anytime soon. So those events are really, really memorable. And I love the idea of Crecer Latino,
Yeah,
Dominicanos, Crecer Latino, Mexico. It's
ecuatorianos,
really,
colombianos.
really cool. We will have to end soon, but I mean, we can talk forever, and I will invite you back. I think Marcelo, you have been with me in the past. Definitely, we will have Danay and Cenia again. Before we go, I would like to ask each one of you a question. It's going to be a two-part question. Cenia, I'm going to start with you. What is the one thing you wish you had done differently and that you would advise people to do to avoid? And what is that one thing that you are proud of as a Latina business owner or as a business owner in general?
Well, the one thing that I would have done different, perhaps hiring a CPA from the get go, from the start. I remember that my first few years doing taxes was traumatic. I was so behind in everything. I didn't have bookkeeping. It was a mess, and it was a headache. And as far as what am I most proud of? Well, I'm proud of the accomplishments, big and small, starting out, um, coming with nothing from the Dominican Republic, from a very humble family, and to be able to have work in the New York garment industry and to launch my own company and be here 12 years later, and the growth that we are having, it is something that I'm very, very proud of as a Latina.
And you should be. Danai, I can repeat the question if you need me to.
I know I got the question. So many mistakes, but I think learning from them and getting back up is the important part. Uh, One that I wish I wouldn't have made was I didn't know to surround myself with enough people that were forward thinking, that were ambitious, that were kind of on the same plane as me, where I just wanted to go, go, go. I had so many ambitions and so many things that I wanted to accomplish. So I think my advice would be surround yourself with the people who are either traveling in the direction that you're traveling in or that are already there, right? Find mentors, find champions, find people that are going to elevate you and lift you up to that level. And then what I'm most proud of, I think, is, you know, it used to be where I had to constantly do outreach and reach out to brands and try to explain to them, try to convince them why working with me and my company and my team is a good idea. And the last few years, it's gotten to the point where the brands are calling me now, and I'm not even having to do the outreach. And that to me just is like a, okay, you've arrived moment. Like, okay, they know who you are, they get what you do, they know you can deliver, and so they're coming after you. And so I think that's one of the things that I'm super super proud of as like an entrepreneur.
Thank you, Danai, for sharing. That is so amazing. So, so amazing. When you get to that point where like leads come to you and people reach out to you, it's like, oh, I did it. I made it. Marcelo?
it's difficult to get just one thing, but so many
Okay,
things.
you have like 5 minutes. It's almost 10.
Yeah, but I think that um, based on the the biggest mistakes at the beginning, I think, is not to rely on professionals, financial professionals. That's that's number one. And I think number two is that I'm going to talk about my experience. Is that I didn't value enough. I didn't value enough myself. I didn't have the. I thought I need everything else. I thought I needed more partners, more education, more things, and I didn't value and put efforts on branding. I was an engineer there, and I used to sell myself as somebody that knows computers. That little thing makes a big difference when you don't know exactly how to sell yourself and value yourself. I think those are the two main problems I had from the beginning: financing and marketing. And I think that would have made a huge difference. But at the same time, I think that's why I know what I know with so many mistakes that help you understand so much better. And I'm really proud of the undocumented business owners, because when I think what they are doing, how they grow, and I thought I had it difficult, but no, it's I think I had it easier. I had a place to live. I thank my uncles, my family that opened their doors, because when you see new people that are coming without anything and they start business and they grow, and I'm very proud of that. They'll see the Latin entrepreneurship. They just they are an inspiration, and I'm proud of that to be part of it, to talk to them, to learn from them, and I really do learn so much from these stories, from nothing undocumented to millionaires without even talk without speaking English, and there are so many of those that I think uh, our work at inQmatic is to just help them and to get more people to know that there is possible, and also there are resources that financing options are available for any in any stage of your business, and marketing and resources from the city, especially in New York. It's a great city to start a business. You have so many options to do it.
Yes, thank you so much, Marcelo, for sharing that. I think that each one of you is such an inspiration and a role model to other business owners, to those that are thinking of starting a business, and we run day to day, right, and just keep going, and we don't realize sometimes the lives that we touch. And I have made an impression on me all these years. I love the Amigos platform, Danay, that you've created, and how everyone comes together and shares their whatever they have to share, and share their knowledge with others. And Cenia, you, when I every time I see you at an event, you just this calm and approachable and just present person that is amazing. I think it's so impressive, and we don't always have to serve others and make an impact in others' lives by what we do with our product. It's also our presence. It's also just the life that we live. And you, Marcelo, you are the same. You are always there. You are always approachable and responsive and supportive to your clients and to your partners and to your friends. And I think that makes such a difference in our society and our community as
Thank you.
Latinos and Hispanics. So I appreciate you a lot, each one of you, and thank you for being here. And I'm sure a lot of people out there feel the same way.
Thank you,
Thank
Ramona.
you. Thank you
And
for
I love your
having
book,
me.
Ramona.
Yes.
Thank
That
you,
was amazing.
Marcelo. Thank you so much. If you want to get my book, you can go to Amazon. Everyone with
Really, it's the only thing I could ask you. I don't know if it's in your roadmap, but in Spanish, because it's so good. I had a great time with that, reading it. I was with Hugo and Vladimir last week. That's when I sent you the picture because we were talking about it.
Thank you, Marcelo. Yes, I want to translate it, but now you scare me. How am I going to translate it? I
Oh
need
my
to
God.
read it from. I need to read it, write it from scratch in Spanish. We were talking about how translations are no good, but the book is called "Simple Choices, Big Rewards in
Mhm,
Money." And I
exactly.
think what's special about the book is that I tell my story, my journey. I wrote it all. Every word there is mine. And
Wow.
I also have stories of other people who are willing to share about their money journeys. So
Mhm.
it's really storytelling, and I hear from the readers that it's easy to read. So check it out on Amazon. Thank you, Marcella, for bringing it up. And to our audience, please follow us on social media: LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, so that you can be aware of events that are coming up. I am actually on a book tour over the next 3 months, virtual and in person. So there are a few events coming up throughout New York and online. So please follow me, Ramona Cedeno, or Fibric on all the platform, any of the platforms. And I'll see you soon. And to my guests today, thank you so much. You kept me in great company, and I love that. And anything I can do, please just reach out. And I will see you soon, everyone.
Thank you. It's a
Pleasure,
pleasure.
everyone.
Good night,
Gracias.